If you are buying or selling property in Colorado's mountain towns right now, or really anywhere in Colorado, you've probably heard whispers about the NAR settlement and how it's changing everything about real estate commissions. Honestly, there's a lot of confusion and there's been a lot of misinformation floating around. So today, I want to give you the straight story on what actually changed, what it means for you as a buyer or a seller in Colorado specifically, and also, most importantly, why understanding these changes can save you money and help you make really important decisions throughout your transaction, whether it be for the buy side or the sell side. I'm Jessica Cheriton, and I'm your Colorado real estate agent. Whether you're looking for properties in Salida, Poncha Springs, Nathrop, Buena Vista, or those surrounding markets, this is an essential update for you. Let's break it down first with what was the NAR settlement. Some quick background for you. In March of 2024, the National Association of REALTORS, or NAR, as I'll refer to it in this video, reached a $418 million settlement to resolve multiple antitrust lawsuits waged against them. Home sellers had accused NAR of maintaining commission rules that artificially inflated prices and forced sellers and buyers to, well, mostly sellers, to pay both their own agent and the buyer's agent. The key changes that went into effect on August 17th, 2024, because of the settlement were change number one. There were no more compensation offers allowed in the MLS. And previously, this was the one place you could find them. Before, when you listed your home, the MLS would show the agent exactly what commission that you were offering as a seller to the buyer's agent, typically 2.5% to 3%. And that's all gone now. In fact, it's against the rules and you can get fined for it. Compensation offers can no longer be advertised on any MLS. Change number two was that there are mandatory written buyer agreements. So any buyer working with any real estate agent now needs to sign some kind of an agreement, even if it's only for one property or one day, before they tour any homes. This agreement must clearly spell out how much the agent will be paid and include a conspicuous statement that all fees are negotiable. Colorado was actually way ahead of the curve here. We already required a buyer representation agreement before the settlement happened, but the new rules definitely tightened that up, and you can get fined in Colorado if you don't have this agreement in place. The agent can, when they take people out to shop for houses without having it signed. So here's where it gets interesting in Colorado, and especially for some of our little resort mountain towns. First, commissions haven't actually dropped here. If you think, and everybody thought, that these commission numbers would plummet after the settlement, recent data actually shows that the average buyer's agent commission in the United States rose to 2.36% in quarter three and to 2.42% in quarter four of 2025. In Colorado, we're still seeing combined commissions between 5.5% to 6%. So that's for the buy and sell side together on most transactions. Why is this? Well, it's because the fundamentals of buying and selling haven't changed. In markets like here in Chaffee County, buyers really do need a professional most of the time. They need representation. These homes and properties are not cookie cutter suburban homes because you're dealing with complex issues like water rights, access, easements, wildfire risk, floodplains, HOA rules that vary, and short-term rental regulations, for example, that change from municipality to municipality, and even unique financing considerations for things like second homes. So according to NAR or NAR, about 88% of buyers nationally use a real estate agent. And in our markets, these Colorado mountain markets, that percentage is actually even higher because transactions can be more complex. Second, sellers are still paying buyer's agents by and large. And the reality is, if you list a property here and decide not to offer a buyer's agent compensation, you immediately narrow the pool of potential buyers to people who are out shopping on their own, willy-nilly, and maybe not even pre-qualified. So think about it from a buyer perspective though. They find two similar properties and they want an agent to represent them, one where the seller covers the buyer agent's fee and one where they'd actually have to pay out of pocket $15,000 to $30,000 to their agent who they've been using regularly since they have a buyer's agency agreement probably. Which showing are they more likely to be attending and excited about? When you're selling a home, it's worth making sure that the buyer agent can be paid and that the buyer is represented by that professional buyer's agent who can help actually get the sale closed. It's not just nice, it's a strategic move for sellers to make sure all that happens. And just because we can't put compensation on the MLS doesn't mean that you can't communicate it. So smart listing agents in Colorado are now including compensation information in things like their brokerage website, marketing materials and brochures, and even just direct communication, calling an agent that's coming for a showing and saying, these sellers are offering compensation. So the Colorado Real Estate Commission and the Colorado Bar Association even created new forms specifically for this, including a brokerage firm compensation agreement to make sure all these arrangements are quite clear. And a lot of brokerages have this before too. So what does this mean for you if you are selling a property in our area? A couple of things. There's strategy number one. Transparency is your competitive advantage in a market where other sellers might be playing coy about what the buyer's agent compensation is. If you can be really upfront and clear, that actually can give you an edge as a seller. Have your listing agent communicate clearly that you will cover buyer representation, and this will increase showing activity and buyer interest. You can do something a little bit different and put to be determined, like you will pay, but depending on the offer, you'll pay a specific amount. If it's in the contract, then the listing agent, your agent that's working for you as a seller, has to offer that. You can also tie commission to performance. So you could offer higher rates if a higher offer comes in. You can offer more compensation. That's something to think about. That said, competitive markets like ours that have a lot of top tier agents all working together, it will be better in the long run for sellers to offer some kind of compensation and communicate that really clearly upfront, whatever it may be. Third, and this is also really important, we need to market your property to the right buyers. These kind of properties attract certain buyers, a lot of out-of-state buyers, second home purchasers, and these buyers definitely want and are usually savvy real estate buyers. So they usually want representation because they've done it before and they realize how much help an agent is. So you need somebody that understands the market, especially when they're coming from out of town. And by covering the buyer's agent compensation for these types of buyers, you are saying, we welcome all serious buyers, even the out of town ones. And we want you to come with representation so that we can get to the closing table with everybody happy. Those are the buyers that you want. Okay, now let's talk about what buyers actually need to know and be aware of. If you are a buyer in this market, you need to understand that you are signing an agreement very early on in the process. And so before you tour any property, you actually have to have that agreement signed. You can sign the agreement for a date or 2 dates on the calendar. You can sign it for just 1 or 2 or 3 properties to give you some wiggle room if you're not excited about that agent. But you also should know that you can terminate that buyer agency agreement in writing, like an email or whatever. Read it, understand the agreement, and negotiate it. Ask all of the right questions. Ask the agent, what exactly is your commission? Is it negotiable? If the seller won't cover your commission, what are my other options? Can we structure this as a flat fee or as a sliding scale if the seller's not offering commission to me, to the agent? What specific services do I get for this fee that I might need to pay? Special note for VA buyers. The VA made a temporary policy allowing veterans to pay buyer agent fees directly. And this wasn't allowed before, but it cannot be financed through their loan. So this keeps those VA buyers competitive, but they do need to budget in for this in their purchasing process. So even if a seller won't formally pay your agent, they can offer seller concessions up to certain limits, like 6%, for example, for FHA loans. And that can actually cover the agent's fee without violating the new rules. So there's lots of workarounds, and your agent should be able to help you structure your offer this way so that you can get the buyer's agent, can get paid, and you can get what you need. through this whole process. The bottom line for Colorado mountain real estate properties is that the NAR settlement changed the mechanics of how we handle the whole real estate transaction commission portion, but it didn't fundamentally change the economics of how we handled the real estate transaction, because good agents were always providing enormous value, especially in complex markets, and smart sellers were and still are covering buyer representation because it expands their buyer pool and allows them to have a much smoother process. And everybody knows that when both sides are represented, it does seem to go more smoothly. What has changed, that's a good thing, is the transparency and the ability to negotiate, because everything is just out on the table at the beginning. There's no more "this is how it's always been done" approach. And if you're working with an agent who won't discuss their commission structure openly, you probably should find a different agent, because you should be able to talk about this easily and clearly from day one of working together. People aren't just buying houses in our markets. They're buying access to skiing, hiking, mountain culture, community, a different way of life. And that doesn't change because the commission disclosure rules changed. And again, in Colorado, we were already doing a lot of these things. And so it's just made it more upfront for all agents. And it's really like narrowed the pool, if you will. Good agents are doing all these things and they're still doing these things. So the most important thing I think you can do is work with an agent who understands all these new rules, can really navigate them strategically, and has a deep expertise in the market that you're wanting to buy in. The rules changed, the opportunity has not. If you found this at all helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button for more Colorado real estate insights. Drop a comment if you have specific questions about your situation, or send me an email. I will read every single one. Thank you for watching, and I will see you here in Salida, Colorado again really soon.